Hello and welcome. I'm going to be talking about triggers in this video. Trigger warning. We all have triggers, and this actually, I already recorded this video, and like my other one, for some reason, I just didn't feel like it was complete. And I also came into a new realization within myself that I thought I would share with you. Now, a few weeks ago, I was in a group session, and we were talking about numerology. We were talking about everyone's life path numbers, and I did some calculations for a few people. And I did mention that one person's life path number was the same life path number as Trump. And it was a very strong trigger for this person. But I didn't realize it was going to cause some issues. I didn't realize it was going to trigger someone in that kind of way. And I really did want to have a conversation about it and talk about triggers and how to work through triggers in a healthy way so that we aren't affected emotionally by certain happenings in our life. Now, I know that there are people out there in the world who can definitely trigger people, and I really try to empathize and understand everyone's point of view and where they're coming from. But I do want to talk about triggers in general because we all have them. And we've all come from a very traumatic history in our life. We all have our wounds. We all have our triggers. There aren't triggers out there or pains or sufferings that are greater or more important than others. So we all have our wounds. We all have our pain, our suffering, our sorrow, our triggers, of course. Now, first I want to go into what are triggers. Well, triggers are unresolved, buried wounds within ourselves, emotions, hurts, pains, either ancestral, historical, from our childhood, and they have been unresolved so that when we grow older into the present moment, and then it shapes our future, those buried wounds and emotions and subconscious beliefs get activated from an outside situation. Now, the outside situation can come from people, can come from a situation, can come from even ourselves. We can trigger ourselves, right? So if we have unprocessed emotions and wounds and traumas within our body, within our subconscious, then they will come up, and they will come up in all sorts of different forms. So it can come up as emotions. It can come up as a lot of thinking, a lot of thoughts. It can also inspire action. So what we say as a result, what we do as a result, and even also how we are affected within ourselves. So all of these buried emotions and all these buried traumas and energies from the past can really affect our body, can again affect our outer world and our ability to create, or our inability to create, our reality. Now, yes, there are a lot of horrible people in this world. I know it's difficult, but the thing is if we don't learn about ourselves and transform ourselves and understand ourselves, then we are going to continually feed the fire. We are going to continually feed the problems in the world. Now, we have to be responsible for ourselves. Even no matter what someone has done to us, directly or indirectly, or to the world, we cannot connect ourselves with that person or with that energy or with the situation in a way of damaging ourselves. Because again, we are just going to feed into the issues and perpetuate these actions and these problems within our world. So it's up to us to be responsible and to be aware of our internal system, of our subconscious if we can, but of course our emotions, our mindset, how we're feeling about certain things. And this is why I wanted to redo this video, because I experienced something very profound this week. Now, I had a lot of buried anger, hatred, resentment, pain, suffering from the past, and from especially one particular situation I went through about 3 years ago. And it's unresolved. And it's an unresolved wound that I have been really trying to get over. But something happened this week where it was triggered. It created these old feelings to come to the surface. They started to surface, and I was dwelling on it for a whole day. I was dwelling on it. It killed my energy. I was angry. I was upset. But during that moment, during that whole day, I was very aware of what was happening. I was very aware of my emotions. I was very aware of these old stories and thoughts and hurts and anger and frustration that were coming to the surface. I was very aware of it. but it was very real. And again, these old emotions, these angers, these frustrations, these sadness, the depression, these feelings are very, very real. And that's why it's so important to do this work, to be aware and to be a conscious creator of your reality. Consciousness, to increase our consciousness, our awareness, our self-awareness, get out of the ego and what feels familiar and what we can get stuck in, and let go of that and start to work on ourselves. Okay, I'm having these emotions. I'm going through this anger. I'm going through all these old stories that I've lived in for a while. I need to let it go. I need to separate from that. I need to give it distance and not feed into those emotions. It was a constant all day. I was exhausted. I actually had to have a nap during the day because I was just so in it. And it was very tiring for me, but I was determined not to keep going like this. I needed to focus on what I wanted. I needed to focus on something better, of what I wanted as the outcome, to let go of this old junk that was just surfacing constantly. Thought I was over it. I thought I was done with the past, but I wasn't. And so all of these energies started surfacing. And the more I focused on letting it go and not feeding into it, and it was a whole day, it drained me completely. But the next day I woke up, I felt amazing. And this is the cycle that we go through. It is the cleansing, it is the purging, it is the releasing. And this is a cycle. We continually go through these cycles. So first of all, we can't be upset when we get triggered. I mean, triggers will create upset, yes, but we can't let it affect us and then live in this unconscious state of, I'm triggered. You're triggering me. This is triggering me, and not doing something about it. The only thing that's going to help and get us out of the triggers is ourself. It's our awareness, and not feeding into the emotions, not feeding into other people's problems, the weight of the world, people in power who are abusing other people. Yes, it is happening. I'm fully aware of it, and I'm fully aware of all of the damage that has been created. But if we don't own ourselves, and if we don't do the inner work, we're just going to keep going through these cycles and live this out until the end. But we have to be strong, and we have to be capable and go in and be aware, because awareness is healing. Awareness is key. Why am I being triggered? Where is that coming from? And the more that we work on this, the more we move past it. And I mentioned this in another video as well, the weight of the world, all the world problems and issues and things that are arising. We're in the thick of it. We're in the thick of major awareness, of major change, it's going to keep going for a while still. So it's up to us to not feed into that, and to be aware of how we are being triggered. What is the trigger? Where is it coming from? And how can I let it go? We're not going to get anywhere by blaming other people and pointing fingers at other people and being the victim of that particular situation or the person's doing. So we all have our hurts. We come from an extremely tragic and traumatic history, suppression, oppression, repression. I talk about it all the time. But we all have our wounds. No wounds are greater than any others, or better or worse, or however you want to label it. It doesn't matter. We all have them in some kind of way, and we all have to work out of this. We all have to be conscious and take the higher road, let go of the ego, get rid of the past by being in our light. And the more we can let go of these triggers, and again, understand our response mechanisms to certain events and to certain things, then the more we are going to transform. We're going to shed the old, and we're going to be able to step in our light. We're going to be able to let go of the ego and be more in our pure, authentic self. And then in turn, we can create positive solutions towards the world, towards creating a greater impact in the world. So this ties a little bit into the managing the emotions video that I released before this video. And very similar, it's awareness. It's being aware of how we are feeding into what's happening in our body, in our mind, within our emotions, how we are reacting to the outer world, to people, to situations, to relationships, to within ourselves as well, because we can't get stuck in these loops, and they will feel very real, and sometimes we can't get out. But when we're operating in an unconscious way, we are allowing our emotions to rule us. We are allowing our subconscious to rule us, and we're allowing the triggers to create actions based in a very unconscious manner, when we're not aware, we're working on programs, we're operating on programs. And that is very, very important where we are right now in this transformational journey. I still catch myself. But again, the awareness is healing. The awareness is key. Self-awareness, awareness of others, stepping out of the minutia, as I mentioned this on my tarot channels, with the hangman energy, stepping out of the minutia, out of the details, out of the problems, out of the issues, rise above and look at the situation from a higher vantage point. Okay, I see this. The people in power, the people who are abusing are hurt. They are going through their pains. They are also working unconsciously, influencing the world right now. A lot of unconscious, false programmed mode responses and decisions and actions are being made. So it's up to us to break that and work in a conscious manner, work in a way of awareness, of compassion, of care, expansion, seeing the bigger picture, not giving into the smaller picture, rising above, being in our light, and creating positive change. All right, so I hope this video found you when you need it the most. Remember, if you have triggers, we all have them. Awareness is key, awareness heals. So I'm wishing you all the best at this time. Until next time, take care.